Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about let's see a theta architectural diagram basically, right? So I've created this diagram in app diagram, and we'll have a rough idea about the same. We'll not discuss too much about security. We'll just talk about the infrastructure and how the traffic flows, right? So theta architectural diagram. So that means it have a front end, it have an application layer, basically the logic layer, and then the database layer as well, right? So ideally here you can see again these diagrams are in AWS use case basically, right? So I've used the AWS icons. So there can be similar icons for GCPs, here is similar icons for Azure and or even OCI, right? Now here is the DNS server, right? So you have used Route 53, whereas you can also use uh, the DNS server of the domain providers as well. So like GoDaddy, Hostinger, right? You can point it to there and then configure the CNAME and DA records or AAA records, whatever it is, right? So but I've used Route 53, or we can provide the endpoint of the CloudFront, right? To endpoint it and give the endpoints to this DNS hosters, right? And they can configure it there. So now traffic is coming from here, reaching out to this Route 53, right? Before entering, we can use WEF or Shield again, AWS Shield, which is an advanced level security. So we'll not have a discussion on this. We'll separately make a video to have that, right? Now we are using CloudFront. Why CloudFront? Again, for content delivery network, it will make your website faster. Caching would be there. TTN, you need to take care of TTN as well. It's basically the time the data would be there in this edge servers, right? So from here we understand the theta architecture, right? So before we understand the theta architecture, we need to have the additional component that needs to be put in place, right? From CloudFront, it will get to a ALB, and this all this I've used horizontal scaling or ALB and the horizontal scaling for web layer front end and then the back end. One thing is there that we are using to put all this architecture in the private subnet, right? We are not putting it exposed to the cloud. So that is one thing. Second is to access so that this web front end get access to the internet. We have put an application load balancer, right? So you can see the application load balancer, and CDN would come to the application load balancer, and then it will go to the front end. Now, for example, we can see a lot of other components out here. So let's discuss on those components as well. So here we have put Western host, which basically a jump server with a Microsoft operating system, Windows server. So what will happen is, so people can access this with RDP, and then it will access the other infrastructure, right? Because since all of them are in private subnet, we would not be able to access it. So that's why jump server is required. Again, this should be an RDP access. Again, there are other kind of access as well. We have installed an OpenVPN over here. So OpenVPN is a point to site VPN. So it will be connected to user devices. So there will be n number of these devices. With OpenVPN, you can procure those licenses, and as per the users would be accessing it. So users would have the access of this other infrastructure depending on the configuration. We have also installed over here is site-to-site VPN. So site-to-site, what will happen is there will be a VPN gateway in our VPC, right? And then here you would be the customer gateway, right? So what we'll do is we'll give the endpoint of the site-to-site VPN, and then customer will configure it with their customer gateway. So that means any devices in the customer network can be accessed. The users can access this entire infrastructure, right? And I mean the components inside the VPC. So that is there. Uh, so I think you have understood, and there is the other component, NAT gateway, right? So what this NAT gateway does is it's basically it's a address translation device, right? It's a fully managed AWS services. Before people used to deploy an EC2 instance or like a virtual machine, and then made NAT, configure it for NAT, right? So here what will happen is again the inside instances who want to update their devices, so update any patches over here would reach to the net, and then net to go to the internet gateway and to the internet, right? And then data would be updated. So it's kind of a one-way traffic from inside to the net and then outside. Nobody can access it from the outside through the net, right? So again that is a security parameter. Again, we'll have a separate discussion on security parameters as well in the defined video. So we have other security parameters as NACL, network address, right? And then we have route tables, right? And then you can also deploy security group for instance level, right? In subnet level, we have NACL, network address control list, basically, right? So here we have considered for high availability or auto scaling, we have considered two availability zones. This is one availability zone, this is a second availability zone. When there is a auto scaling happens, it will be auto scaled in two availability zones, right? And here also so this is the front end, that means the screen that you see basically on your screen, right? So that is basically front end. And then we have the application layer, so this is the logic layer. So traffic will come from the ALB to the front end and then to the application layer, right? Here all the logic gets applied and accordingly it reverts back as well, right? So here we understand what's going on, the logic of the application. Again, we need to understand what kind of website it is. It's a website, e-commerce website, or other kind of website, right? And then it moves to the database. Again, database can be defined in this sort. Here I have used in MySQL, and then elastic cache for caching mechanism, right? Also for high availability, as you know, in databases it cannot be horizontally scaled, right? So caching is a way to support it, or obviously you can do sharding as well, but caching is a way to support your database in a more efficient way. If similar kind of uh, uh, queries are being generated and that is there in caching, so customer the traffic will come to the caching and then it will go back from here. If it what will happen if it is not in the caching, it will go to the main database, right? Again, a read replica is also over here, right? So a continuous block level replication happens and it just used for storing, right? This database again is used for read and write as well. Also, you can have a separate database where there can be only read again continuous block level replication can happen, and here only read. The database is used for only read purposes, right? So basically any traffic which is coming just for read, not write, right? So it will go to that particular database and then do the read operations and go back, right? So there cannot be any changes. It will only use for read. Here again it is for read and write, so this is the main database. So this is basically the three tier architecture, right? So you can see a lot of other components as well. So those things again will have a separate video on the security component as well, right? Hmm. And other thing, right? So whenever an EC2 instance want to access S3, right? So S3 is basically out of the VPC, so we need to have a gateway endpoint over here. It will point to the gateway endpoint and then connect to the S3 bucket, right? For let's say there is a static website, then also we can have an S3 over there, and then the CloudFront can be over that S3, right? So customers will come through the traffic and then go to the S3 bucket where static website is hosted, and then it will go directly to the internet. Again, that is also there. Uh, so I think that's about it for the three-tier architecture. It's well defined, right? So ideally, this is one of the best practices, right, in a three-tier architecture. Uh, I think that's about it. Thank you for watching the video, like and subscribe, right? So we'll have multiple videos coming up on this Shira architecture regarding security best practices, right? So we can use all the security best practices in, and we'll have a discussion on that front as well, right? We'll discuss about web, shield, guard duty, cognito, audit managers, right? KMS, IAM users, right? So all of that, even inspector and then CloudTrail, CloudWatch, and then why SNS is there, we can connect it to the guard duty and then send notification. So that is there, right? We can also have a discussion on NACL and the security group as well. These are all like security level discussion that we need to have. Thank you for watching the video. Have a great day.